Okie dokie. So we're live. Well, not live, but you know what I mean. So for anybody watching, I am Robert Altvater, part of Altvater Fitness and Movement. And then this is my client, Michael. Michael and I have been training together. What has it been now? 3, 4 months, I think, something like that.
Yeah, it feels. I think like 4 months.
Okay. Just wanted to kind of talk to you about kind of your overall experience with my training style, kind of, your journey and that sort of thing. But real quick, we'll talk about me for just a hot second. As you know, Michael, I've been training for about 6 years or so. You and I met a long time ago, I think when I was first kind of starting out. And then through the ages, I guess we could say, you and I got reconnected for fitness. My background in functional training, corrective exercise, seems to be a good route for a lot of folks to take as far as managing their own kind of physical bodies, along with kind of getting to their goals in the kind of most safest way possible. Yeah, and again, I've been doing this for about 6 years or so. Yeah, and that's me in a nutshell, which you already know all of that, but maybe the people listening didn't know. This is our first official video, so it's going to be a little clunky. It's probably not going to be super smooth, and I think that's okay. Michael, for the rest of this, we're pretty much going to talk about you and your journey. I'm going to just kind of be asking some questions of you, and you'll pretty much have most of the floor.
Cool.
So we'll just dive right in. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do for work and kind of the environment you find yourself in most days?
Yeah. So I am a branch manager for a credit union. So I spend a lot of my day either standing still or sitting down. There's not a whole lot of walking around, not a whole lot of movement. I'm definitely not getting my steps in. That's for sure. I also work at a number of different surfaces, none of which are at like a great height for like standing and working at. Uh, so so I spend a lot of my days standing or sitting, awkward positions for like wrists, shoulders, and whatnot.
Sure. And you work what, 9 to 5, or more or less? An 8
Yeah,
hour day
I'm
usually.
supposed to work like 9 to 5, but it usually ends up being like 6:30, 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I recall that. So it sounds like you do work on a computer. You said you kind of work at different surfaces, and that was kind of affecting. You obviously could tell it works. It's affecting your posture, and you're not getting as maybe as somebody as active or a more active working environment.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, I got that. So previously to you and I meeting 3 or 4 months ago, what was kind of your fitness journey? What did it kind of look like for you? Where were you at?
Yeah. So I would say probably for several months before we started working out, um, I was not doing anything. Um, yeah, I was thinking about doing stuff. The
Sure.
weather was beautiful. It was summer, and I was like, I should be doing X, Y, and Z. But I would get home from work, and I would sit down on the couch or start eating, having a snack, and there goes my motivation to, throw some shorts on and some shoes and like break a sweat. Um,
Right.
and yeah, it's been that way for a while.
Okay.
Um,
How long is a while, do you think?
well, let's see. I worked out regularly when I was in college, and I'm 33 now.
Okay.
Uh,
So a little while ago.
so it's been a little while.
Okay.
And I've done things before, like I have a gym membership, and I was like, cool, I have a gym membership, I can go to the gym and work out. So it wasn't an issue of like I don't have resources. It was completely motivational. I just was completely lacking motivation to get up and be active.
Gotcha. Okay, I hear that. Um, I know that's the problem for a lot of us, even especially now, just kind of finding that willpower to move. And I think on my own personal fitness journey, and it sounds like yours too, having somebody just to hold you accountable really kind of helped you get started again?
Yeah, that was I would say probably most of my reason for reaching out, is accountability. I thought, if I'm working with somebody who's going to hold me accountable and be like, you said you were going to show up this day and this day each week, and you said when you show up you're going to work hard. I can do that. Like, set a clear expectation, set a goal, and I will meet that.
Yeah.
But it's doing it on my own that I struggle with. Yeah, so that's when I reached out and was like, hey, can you be my
Accountability buddy.
yeah.
Yes, totally. And so far we've been really good at that. We've been
Yeah.
consistent to 2 days a week, outside of like life stuff and vacation stuff. Even then, you had a couple vacations, I had a couple of them, and we were still able to get movement in,
Yeah.
and still be able to work really hard. And every time you show up to your sessions, you're always on time, you're ready to go, and you've always communicated to me if something came up before that you're like, hey, I'm going to be a couple minutes late. So
Yeah.
you're also like it's great to have a client who also wants to be held accountable, I guess you could say, that knows that they want something. They're like, okay, I need this, and this is how maybe I could go about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of it was being honest with myself and being honest with you about what my struggles were, and also like what my goals are and like what I can do. If my goals had been something crazy that I secretly knew I was never going to be able to do, like if I said I want to work out 6 days a week, that's just with a real life schedule, like that's impossible for someone like me. But I can do 2 days a week, and I can make sure that I can show up for those 2 days a week. So setting realistic expectations with myself and with you, I think, has contributed a lot to us being able to be regular and actually like stick to it.
Totally. What I think too, having a space, even a virtual space, in which you can communicate where you currently are and not feel this like judgment that sometimes you can feel from other folks.
Hmm.
Just, I guess for me, it's like you always show up just as Michael, and you're like, hey, this is what my expectations are, this is what you are, and we've already had that conversation, so it's easy to to help you and to keep you motivated and keep showing up for you because you've also shown up for yourself. Um, and so I think having that is really important as well, besides just that accountability factor.
For sure.
So, well, you talked a little bit about your goals. What were some of your specific goals besides the accountability that you were also kind of that also came up for you when we first kind of started?
Yeah. Well, I think one of my obvious goals was shoulders. I just wanted to have stronger shoulders. Partially because I had hurt my shoulder doing
Right.
something dumb. I was in my storage unit and I lifted a box weird, and I hurt my
Oh, is that what
shoulder.
it was?
I think that's where it started,
Oh,
and then
okay.
like it went away, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm fine. And then I adjusted my mirror in my car one day, and it just
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that one.
again, and I was like, man, like I can't adjust my car mirror. Like that's dumb. That's stupid. Um, and so that was another thing, that was motivated me. Like I need help strengthening my shoulder, fixing my shoulder, get it in working order again, so that I can lift a box if I need to lift a box. Um, Another thing that came up were my knees. So I had
Mhm.
I hurt my knees on a run when I was like 26 or something like that. It wasn't even a crazy run. I like just jogged downhill for too long and like exhausted the tendons in my knees, and it just like so I can go upstairs just fine, but downhill for like a long distance or at the end of the day, going downstairs or downhill just like hurts. And so
Mhm.
having to so I couldn't go hiking without having to walk back down the trail backward, which is not safe.
Oh, is that
Uh,
okay? I didn't know that. I didn't know that little piece that you would walk backwards down the
I would,
trails.
I would walk backward down the trail like half the way at least, because I'm like, my knees hurt, but I can't stay on this mountainside. Um,
What are you gonna just stay and live there and
I
camp there
live
for the
here now.
day?
welcome to my new home. Uh, yeah, and I would forget because I'm 33, right? That should not. I
Right.
feel like that's not something that should be a problem. Um, and so I would forget that's a problem. I would go on a hike, and then on my way back down, I'd be like, "Oh crap! Like this hurts." Um,
Right.
and so that was something that I was like, "Hey, like I think it came up the first or second round. I was like, oh yeah, I have bad knees." So like one of these things came up. I feel like pretty early on in our session. Was like, what can we do for that? Um, and then recently, I think it was 2 Sundays ago,
Hmm.
uh, I went on a hike with my partner and a friend. Um, we hiked up. It was gorgeous. We were headed back down, and we were about halfway down the trail from this hike when I realized that my knees didn't hurt.
And you
I
were
was like,
walking forward.
"Yeah, I was walking forward like a normal human person um, downhill. It had been about 2 miles, and I was like, oh, my knees don't hurt. This is awesome." Uh, and so, yeah, and I feel like that's where I should be, just as like 33, able to walk downhill,
Sure.
man, nailing it. But that was great. That was great because that's not something that I could have done before. It was always like have to keep in mind like pace myself downhill, take my time, make people wait for me. Um, so that was great. And then I paid close attention to my knees the rest of the way down, and I was good. I was fine. So like I don't know, just as far as being able to do the things I want to do, lift box, go on a hike, this has been great.
Yes, totally. Thank you. I mean, I think I remember you telling me that story, and I think it's awesome because you were so excited that you're like, "Hey, my knees didn't hurt at all." And
Yeah,
even when we met up, like your knees still didn't hurt. Like maybe I expected some soreness afterwards. You're like, "Nope, right as rain."
yeah,
You know what it is? That's all the leg days.
they're paying off.
Uh, I
It's
also
good.
think a lot of the time too when we're looking at pain management though, it's like the
Yeah.
warm ups that we do together, all the like hip
Mhm.
movements and stretching and foam rolling, all that stuff we do before kind of bigger part of the workout. I think that's where we get a lot of that structure from. And then from there, like working on our core and our posture and just kind of being more aware of our body, on a day-to-day basis can help us, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure even now, at least for some of my clients before, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I constantly roll my shoulders back now." It's like it's somehow I lived in their brain a little bit, and they're like, "Yeah, every time I'm like this, you're like, Barbara's gonna yell at me
Oh,
to sit up straight."
yep.
And it's great. And so just being able to do so, you came in with a goal of accountability. You came in a goal with, "Hey, these things are kind of bugging me, and I just want to live a more healthy, functional life." Would you say that we've accomplished those kind of original goals of yours?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also knowing that as I get older, my body's gonna continue to change.
Hmm.
Like I'm 33, so it's not a matter of puberty, but like my body's going to continue. I'm going to start to have whatever, and to be able to manage that with proper posture, being able, things like that are going to be help me keep my knees healthy instead of having to repair my knees. Like like now that they're working right, I want to keep them working right.
Right.
So I think like that's another. So I don't need to check fitness off the goal. I'm not done with fitness now, but now that I've been able to hit my original goals, now I can move forward to sort of the next step.
Yeah, totally. Well, and we like through our programming, there's a lot of different movements that I try to incorporate as like what I would call fun or interesting, and it's because we hit those original goals, and for me, it's like I want to learn how to do a handstand. Okay, once I do a handstand, that doesn't mean we're just okay, great, I'm done. That's all my body, that's it. I hit my goal, but it's more about how do we keep that momentum alive. And I think it's really important to have what we have, not only a good client professional relationship, but there's also good solid communication. You
Yeah,
tell me what you want, I tell you what I expect, and we just have a conversation about it. There's not a whole lot of expectations, or there's not a whole lot of gimmicks, or even a whole lot of equipment that we need. It's just like, hey, let's get started. Let's try to figure out what feels best and what works best, and we'll come across things that don't. And then when you're communicating, I think it was one of our sessions, something was bugging. I think it was your shoulder, and we just took a second, we stretched it out, and it was fine. I think it was our last one.
Yeah, yeah. I was doing something and I was like, oh, my shoulder doesn't like that. So we like explored it. You were like, tried some things. We stretched it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It's
and
nice.
now,
Yeah. And it's, I mean, okay. So I was working out with a buddy one time and
mhm,
something hurt. And he got all like trainery and like in my face and was like, push through. Da, da, da. And I was just like, nope, I'm, I'm not about that.
right.
Like, somebody yelling at me does not motivate me.
Hmm.
Somebody telling me to push through whatever, like, no, no, no. Like, if I've hurt myself, if I need to take a moment, what I need is somebody to be like, help me through that, make sure like it's okay, and help me through making sure that I haven't seriously hurt myself, and then we can move forward. Not somebody just yelling at me like, I don't know. I just don't. Yeah, that's not my thing.
Yeah. Well, and that, I mean, that totally makes sense because, you know, for I find a lot of us don't take that extra opportunity to check in with our body and be like, hey, does that actually hurt and not feel good? And then if it doesn't feel good, that's usually a good response. Your body's like, hey, stop doing whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
And I know
that's
I say
the
that
struggle,
phrase
but no.
right. It's like, and I say that phrase constantly. I'm like, okay, stop doing what you're doing, or something hurts, don't do it, because it doesn't retract from the lifelong process of being healthy, of being active, of pushing your body. If anything, I find that it only aids in that further, because that way we don't have to step back because you hurt your rotator cuff,
Mhm.
right? You hurt something, so we have to regress. Instead, take an opportunity. Let's address that thing right now. Even if it takes 10 minutes, as long as we're not in a big hurry, it takes 10 minutes. Like, there's no,
Yeah.
I really like your mindset because you don't place this like good or bad kind of judgment on a movement if it doesn't feel good or something doesn't feel right. It's, you say exactly, hey, that doesn't feel good, and I'm like, great, let's go ahead and take a second and we'll take a look at it. And again, this is where a lot of this foundational stuff we started with, the foam rolling and the stretching, really comes into play, because we have an opportunity to go back to all that stuff we learned way, way long ago and be like, okay, what did we say about this stretch here or these muscles here? And if we take that time, like I said, you feel better at the end of the session, hopefully, because the shoulder doesn't hurt. But I'm also hoping that, instead of having somebody scream at you, you can hopefully feel heard, right? Because I've had trainers try to scream at me as their client. I'm like, I'm not about that.
Mhm.
I'm not about it. I was like, I will stop doing whatever I'm doing and I will walk right away from you. Um, and it's important that people understand it's okay to say, hey, I need a second. I'm going to take a second because something doesn't feel right, or we're pushing you really hard, but you might be gassed or whatever. I'm going to give you a little break, even though I didn't prescribe a break before. I'm going to give you like 20 or 30 seconds. I don't want to run you into the ground. That's not the point, right? The point is push your body to what it can be pushed to, and then leave it alone. Don't push past that. Yeah. Anyway, so I think it's the open communication that we have, the wherewithal you have with your own body and your own goals. You know, it's easy because we both find the importance of kind of what we're doing,
Yeah.
and it's not hard, right? It's not hard to have a conversation about it. It's not hard to show up for each other. It's just,
Yeah, I can like it's like I said earlier, like I can show up. Like I can show up. I can do that. And that's one of the parts that I really love is I know what all I have to do is show up. And like you're gonna take care of the rest. Like I don't have to worry about like what like you're gonna tell me, hey, we're gonna do this set of exercises, we're gonna do it this many times, we're gonna do it this way. And I'm like, cool. I can do that. I can follow some instructions because I tell people no, I don't tell people what to do all day, but I tell people what to do all day long.
I was like,
Like,
let's be
you know,
honest.
like I help people get stuff done. Like I give a lot of instruction, and I love doing that. But at the end of the day, like I need some me time, and so it's really nice to be able to just show up, and be like, all right, somebody else is taking the reins right now, and as long as I show up, then this is going to be a beneficial hour for me,
Mhm.
um, for me, for my benefit, and I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's these sessions are about you. I personally learned a long time ago that what I do as a personal trainer is not about me. It's not about me at all. I'll give you some things that I like to do, but doesn't mean we have to do them. Or I might find something that works for me, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Um, and you know, yeah, I just think that's really important. So, you know, and sometimes it's to take that hour for yourself can make or break a day, right? Giving you that self-care time, because a lot of times people think self-care is about getting a massage or, you know, getting some acupuncture done, but it's also, you know, the physical stuff. It's also challenging your body because your body wants it,
Yeah.
right? It's not about needing or liking it or not liking it. It's just, hey, my body wants it. It needs this. It wants this. So
Needs to move. Your body was built to move, and
exactly.
it wants to move.
Totally. Well, hey, we only have a few minutes left of our call tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to add about your experience or any other questions or comments that you wanted to make before we wrap things up tonight, Michael?
I think mainly just sharing how much I appreciate you being able to meet me where I was in my ability to show up, in my capacity for what I could take on, in just in the way that the sessions have gone. You know, I'm like, hey, today I can bring 30%. And you're like, cool, I'll cover the other 70. And then some days I'm like, I've got 70%. This is what I'm bringing. And you're like, cool, here's the other 30. You know, so um, and that's made a lot of difference for me.
Mhm.
It means that I don't have to show up with everything every time because I have a partner who's going to meet me and fill in the gaps. And that's been super valuable for me. It makes me want to continue. It makes me, you know, when something comes up, it makes me say, no, I have an appointment. I have a thing I got to do, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on those things because I look forward to that hour that we get together, that hour that's for me, that I
Yeah,
get to spend working with you. So that's made a lot of difference for me. So thank you.
you're welcome, Michael, and I'm glad. I'm happy to show up for you. Like I said before, I couldn't be happier showing up for you, to be honest. Not only because I know it's important for you to feel healthy and to feel well about yourself, about your body, but like you said, having somebody that you know is going to show up for you.
Yeah.
You know, in my own journey, I couldn't ask for more either from my trainer. Like he shows up for me, you know, and just having that is really important, especially now. But um, yeah, you're most welcome. Well, thank you for spending the last half hour with me.